And
Action.
Thank you, Dean. Good evening, everybody. I'm gonna call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock on the dot. Could I please get a roll call?
Yep, Jack Sapia,
Yo.
Doug Woodward.
Here.
Katie Newton.
Here.
Mark Sherwood.
Here.
Shauna Manthorn.
Here.
Bree Woodward.
Here.
Melissa Kowalczyk.
Here.
Paula Kane and
Here.
Marianne Spooner.
Thank you for that. If everybody could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is approval of some meeting minutes. I'll make a motion to approve the June 5th meeting minutes.
A second.
Motion by Marianne. I got a second.
Knock it off, Mark.
What was that?
Sorry, I haven't had dinner.
And that's
I got a second by Bree.
I think it's the AC. I think it's the AC turn.
It's the AC. It's event.
Oh my God, okay. So we've got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the floor about the June 5th meeting minutes? All right, all those in favor? Opposed and abstain. All right, so 7 for 2 abstentions. All right, did we have any non-public?
That's you.
Oh, wait. grab it to me.
Make a motion to approve the non-public meeting of June 5th.
Got a motion by Jack, do I have a second? Seconded by Mark. Any discussion? Shauna, did you guys have anything about
Nope.
these?
I'm good.
All right, all those in favor? Opposed and abstain. So 7 for 2 abstentions. Pass those back, please. Thank you very much. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
Linda, do we have any other delegates or individuals or just the one? Just the one?
Just the one,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Oh. All right, John Downing.
Good evening, everybody. John Downing with Sandown. I wanted to start and say, it's been a while since I've been here, so congratulations to all the seniors graduation. Looked like everybody was really happy. I watched it. It was great to see everybody moving on. And congratulations to all the juniors who are now seniors as of today, as I welcomed one of them home today as a senior for the first day. So very happy about that. I just wanted to have the opportunity to talk to you guys before discussion gets taken place about the unassigned funds. We've all learned some lessons from the previous years on implementing some of the procedures and stuff and spending accordingly. So I would encourage the school board members to have a robust conversation and please ask questions and identify where the accounts are coming from, on what money is going to be spent, where it will be spent, and make sure that we're being as responsible as possible. So I would encourage you guys to please have that conversation. And we've certainly learned from a couple of years past. So that's all. Thank you.
Right. Did I get the remaining a motion for move the remaining 27 minutes to the end of the meeting?
So moved.
Motion moved by Jack. Do I have a second? Second by Mark. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstain. All right, everybody was for it. All right, moving on. We don't have student rep or any.
It's a video.
Oh, he's got a video. Sweet.
video.
Okay, cool. Nice.
He's at Milkman tonight.
Huh?
He's got Milkman tonight.
Oh.
I think it's the last one. Yeah, I think it's the last one. So,
He has his act together.
I know, that's what my
Ready?
brother's like, you should come. I'm like, I can't.
Hi everyone, I'm here with the share out for the the past few weeks. So at the high school, graduation went great, even with all the rain and everything. It just went smoothly. Graduation band sounded amazing. All the speakers were great. Thank you to everyone who helped out with that. The seniors had a bunch of different activities, their final week of school. That was like their breakfast and getting their signs and all those different things prior to graduation, as well as their senior clap out, which was where they went back to their elementary schools to go say hi to the current students that are there and their former teachers. We are at the high school starting our summer sessions pretty soon, and as well as credit recovery for students who failed quarter four classes. Summer work, that's optional, has gone out to all students through Google Classroom. There will be a number of physical changes to the front of the high school this summer. So the back entrance, door C16, will be used instead. So any events will be in the back. The middle school, yesterday was their 8th grade celebration and went great. Thank you to everyone who spoke at that as well. And yeah, the 8th graders had their dance fun time at the middle school with DJ and food and all that great stuff. So yeah, 8th grade trip to Canada was great. They had lots of fun. And the elementary schools throughout the past few weeks and month have been coming up to see the middle school as they will be going there next year. Different sports updates. Daniel Bates won high jump for the Meet of Champions, New England's, and is competing at nationals for high jump this weekend. So best of luck to you. Great job. Athletic camps, there's going to be a few of those this summer for all different age groups, so check out Timberlane.net for more information on those. At the PAC, we've had music trials, which is 2nd, 3rd, 4th graders are able to go in and try out different string or wind or percussion instruments and see which suits them to further them with their musical education. Those trials are free, and there are teachers and students there to help out. Those went really well. The elementary school lessons, after they have picked them, their instrument, they can go back for lessons over the summer. Those will be starting up really soon. The musical was just announced, and it is going to be Hadestown for next year. So look out for that in April. It's going to be good. The PAC Improvathon will be happening in July. That is going to be a telethon type event with different acts and performances, musical performances led by our improv team, the Milkmen, to, I believe, raise money. I'm not exactly sure what for, but keep an eye out on Facebook and the social medias for that coming up. Band, strings, and chorus camp are going to be starting this summer. It depends on the age group of when it's going to be, so just reach out to your student's music teacher and director for more information on that. The elementary schools as a whole had their senior clap outs, which was an amazing idea, and the seniors really loved it. Retired teachers would also come back to their former schools to come say hi to their students that they had, so I thought that was nice. The 5th grade celebrations are happening right now as we speak, so congratulations for completing 5th grade and moving up to the high school. Move up day again for the 5th graders happened where they got to go to the middle school to see what was happening and how the school works and all different types of things. They've also all done their field days and enrichment days throughout the past few weeks, and they want to thank all the people who helped, their PTAs, just different organizations that helped out, to the teachers who planned stuff. They are all very thankful. And similarly to the senior clap out, there was the fifth grade clap out where the fifth graders went around the school and had people cheering for them. Thank you, everybody, for such an amazing year. Thank you to all of our staff, our administration for making this such a wonderful year. I can't wait to see what we can do next year to further our education and keep our students happy. Thank you.
Thank you for that video. Current business, we've got the 25-26 Performing Arts Center schedule. Come on down.
Easy, look at all this.
Before we talk about it, just a quick edit. In May 19 and 20, the numerical days are correct for the events that are taking place there, but the days of the week just needed to be flipped. So other than that, everything is should be accurate. This is a representation, not a huge deviation from what we've done in the past. The biggest change for us, though, typically our evening performances start at 7 p.m. For next year, we're moving all of our performances up 30 minutes to start at 6:30 p.m. The purpose of that is if we can start 30 minutes earlier, we can potentially shut the building down 30 minutes earlier and see if we can save any facilities money by doing that. Our concern is just we tried to originally do it at 7 so that we had a little overlap between athletics or other events and those concerts. So we'll see how that plays out and any sort of modifications we need to make to that moving forward. But we're going to give it a shot for this year and see what happens. We had just past year 68 represents about 68 on-campus performances, 38 off-campus performances. So keep the kids busy, keeps the teachers out of trouble.
This is something that we do every year. We approve the schedule. So other than those two, you said the dates are right, like the numerical dates are right. It's just the days of the week that just need
Correct.
to be
Yeah.
flopped.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Wednesday and the Tuesday.
Anybody have any questions? Yeah, go ahead, Jack.
Just a comment. Again, you amaze me, and I really appreciate the fact that you're looking at every single aspect to make things more efficient, run more efficiently around here. So I wouldn't even thought about moving it up a half an hour for that reason, but makes sense. So thank you again for your efforts.
Appreciate it. Sorry.
Anyone?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2025-2026 Performing Arts Center calendar and schedule of events.
As amended.
As amended with the correct days of the week.
Second?
All right, motion made by Shauna, seconded by Mark. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor? Opposed and abstained. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kurt. Okay, got it.
Request for proposals. This might be you, Dr. Martin.
Thank you and good evening, everyone. You see before you, the first one is the heating oil proposal. This one is pretty straightforward. We have chosen to go with Palmer Gas and Oil at $2.449 a gallon. And ask for the board to accept the heating oil bid as noted.
Does anybody, we'll do these one at a time. Does anybody have any questions about the heating oil bid? Yep, Mark, go ahead.
This is a 1-year deal, I'm guessing?
Correct.
Had we looked at trying to secure a 2, or was it just sent out for 1 year?
Not at this time.
Would it be possible when we get it, because we have to do this every year,
Correct.
when this comes around, could we possibly look and see what that would, if that could help us save some money? Sometimes when you do a multi-year, it saves you a little money, but I know some things you're stuck with just doing it year to year.
We will do that.
Any questions about the heating oil bid? It's pretty straightforward. All right, someone will make a motion.
Very good deal.
One further question, how many bids did we receive in for this?
We received, whoops, I'm on the wrong page. We received 3.
No, I see it here, I just kind of wanted it
No
to
worries.
be public. Yep.
I'll for the next one, I will make note of that.
Okay, anyone make a motion for
I'll make a motion to approve entering into a contract with Palmer Oil for heating oil at $2.449 per gallon.
Motion made by Shauna, do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alyssa. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained. Okay, thank you. Moving on.
The next one is the perimeter fencing around the high school.
Okay.
Posted and issued to vendors requesting proposals. The bids were opened on Friday the 13th. It went well despite the date. After careful consideration, we propose awarding the bid to Fences Unlimited. It should be known that Fences Unlimited is a known vendor who's proven efficient, thorough, and reliable. It's a fairly large company. They have a large crew, which gives us more hope that this gets done in a timely fashion. The work that they have done for us in the past is work that they come in, they do their work, they clean up, and they go away. We made the decision to not go with the lowest bidder in this case because of the references and the experience.
Jack, go ahead.
So I know, and I don't know if that's the case here, but in Massachusetts, if you go out for a public bid and you're the low bidder and you don't get it, there has to be
Has to be what?
there has to be in other words, do some of these lower bidders have recourse against us for not doing that? And that's just the way it was.
Oh, like if
Some
you
of-
don't go for that one, there has to be a reason.
Right, like why didn't we get it? And I just wanna make sure that we have, because, I mean, fencing is fencing, and I am very familiar with, and I would say ditto to Fences Unlimited in their level of workmanship and all of that, so I understand it.
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure we're safe doing that here.
So Dr. Martin, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think one of the reasons that they went, besides them being local and references, is also to the other bidders, they weren't very clear if they were actually gonna remove the old fencing. They couldn't get some answers about that, but this company was like, yep, we're gonna come in, we're gonna clean it up and everything, so it's kind of
As long, I just wanted to ask the question.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay. Any?
And I don't want to
Yep.
soil anyone's reputation because these are all very reputable organizations. We have more confidence in the work of this particular organization, and again, it's the number of employees played a large role in and reputation as an example.
And for further coverage, and then I'll get Bree, and then I'll get Marina. Shauna, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure our policy even states that the board does not have to accept the lowest bid, so that's
Correct.
extra.
Yep.
Alright, go ahead.
This is more of a comment that I asked and the RFP dictated is what type of fencing?
It is that black vinyl coated fencing that has a much more technical name.
So it'll be lasting longer. It'll be lasting longer, it'll be less likely to break down, it'll not need changing and reinforcing later on. And as part of CIP, this is well under the amount allocated that we thought it would take, which is great. And it's including the entire high school campus, is that correct?
That's correct, perimeter fencing. If I may also, we are adding in this particular bid or RFP, we're adding a bottom rail, which we don't currently have.
Okay.
Which really reinforces that structure, that structure.
Marion, and then Jack, you can do your comment.
Is the plan to do this over the summer?
Yes.
Jack, go ahead.
Yeah, my only request is that those gates, like around the baseball field, you have that like Y thing, you gotta go this way and that
Yep.
way to get in. Can we design a little bit better mousetrap, because are getting older and wider, have some difficulties getting through that, so that would be very much be appreciated.
There's one that is bent, but the intent is to keep bicycles and other types of things of that nature off the field.
As long as I can get through to watch.
I'll hold your hand, Jack, I'll lead you.
For an escalator.
Yeah.
Jack, we opened the year with the staff talking about universal design for learning. So we will fully embrace that concept. It's driving us forward.
Just,
Very well tied in, love
dear
that.
gosh.
Alright, any other comments about this RFP? Alright, does someone wanna make a motion?
I'll make that motion to accept the
Here you
RFP put in.
There
Thank
you
you.
go, right there.
Make the motion to approve entering into contract with Fences Unlimited for the Timberlane Regional High School perimeter fencing at $138,249.
So well said. Motion by Mark, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Alyssa. Any other discussion or questions at this time? All right, all those in favor? Opposed and abstained, everybody agrees. All right, and our last RFG, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The last RFP is for a variety of areas throughout the district for painting. We did not do any painting last year because we missed the window to actually submit an RFP to get that done for the summer. We have a very short window to get any of this work done, which is the 6 weeks of summer or any kind of long weekend or something of that nature. Once again, we chose not to go with the lowest bidder here after checking references and also the number of individuals in the organization that could actually get the work done. We have some large rooms and the stairwells at Atkinson, for an example, that stuff's gotta be done by a large team in a short window of time. So we would like to bring forward the local company Noonan Brothers. The bid for $99,950, and that again is for the entire district.
Jack?
Does that bid include any exterior painting on any of the buildings in the district, like windowsills or, molding around the
Go ahead.
dugouts and stuff like that?
So it does not. It includes all of the wall preparation, whether it's spackling or fixing chips in the whatever the finish is. The exterior painting is being done by our maintenance team. For example, I believe it's Danville that Glenn is going to be. We won't see him most of the summer. He'll be there taking care of that.
So what you're saying is even though it says painting, it's not just painting.
It's correct. It's all the wall preparation that goes with it. And if they have to rent a lift or anything else, scaffolding for the stairways, anything of that nature. But again, remember, it's for all 8 of our buildings, excluding this building.
And
Oh, wait, Bree and then Mark. Sorry.
So we're going with the second lowest out of 4.
Correct.
Great. And then I would also like to know, is this just in preparation for the school year, or does this also include little issues throughout the year?
So what we asked the principals to do was to, with their teams, go through their buildings, and Kurt went through the pack and identify the things that needed upkeep. So it is just for the summer to prepare. We anticipate that there may be some hangover in weekends or long weekends or so forth, but it is not for example, like behind you, if that type of thing happened in a building, it's not for that type of thing.
Okay, any other questions, Mary Ann?
And I know you said there wasn't painting done last year, but
Correct.
typically is there painting done every year? Interior?
Yes, we have, Madam Chair, if I may,
Oh, yeah, go
we budget for it every year. I believe we budgeted about $95,000 for it this year, and we're gonna have to do a little budget transfer for the balance of the $4,000. But we have a cycle that we go through.
There's no other questions, someone wanna make a motion?
Make a motion to approve into entering into a contract with Noonan Brothers for district-wide painting for $99,950.
Motion by Alyssa, Shauna, sorry, do I have a second?
Second.
Jack beat you, sorry. All right, motion and second has been made, do we have any other discussion? All right, all those in favor? Opposed and abstained, all right, thank you, Mr. Martin. And then I think we got,
Control
the
technology.
next thing is yours too.
All
go
right,
ahead.
I appreciate you all coming to my board meeting this evening. So control, it's so funny that it was hot in here when you all arrived and we're looking to extend the contract with this company. And we did not open this on Friday the 13th, but in any case. So Control Technologies Incorporated is the company that has installed all of our controls in our schools with the new projects in this building, and they'll be working on the HVAC work at Atkinson Academy as well. We have an opportunity to extend our contract one more year with them. And that is what I'm requesting to do and not go out to RFP for a new vendor for this purpose. It makes sense that these folks are working in our buildings. And we'll need to keep working through the way these systems work is it's an extended period of adjustment, as you noticed this evening, as we learn how the buildings work with these new controls. So the difference in cost from last year is the addition of the SAU at roughly $4,000 and their fuel charge increases for their folks because they travel, obviously. And so this is largely for the software maintenance agreement we have with them and the techs that come out and teach us and make adjustments as the software requires. Yep, yes, oh,
Jack,
we're good.
So my
Jack,
guess
Bree,
is,
and then Mark.
so it killed me to spend as much as we spent putting in controls, but I got it from a very reliable person who I respect a lot, that when you put in new HVAC systems, you gotta do it. And my sense is, if I remember correctly, a couple of years ago, it's very important to have the people who put in these controls kind of manage them, because if I'm not mistaken, there's crossover with one company knows their own controls, and this is the company that put in all the controls, I guess, in mine?
They are, yes.
Okay, so that makes, to me, good sense.
Yep.
I think first we would have to make a motion to waive policy.
Yep, so
Right.
we'd have two actions. We'd have to waive policy and then we'd have to make a motion to extend the contract.
So
So
I'll
we
make
did
a
two things.
motion to waive policy.
PJE.
Okay, I have a,
Do we have thing?
there is a
More
motion.
discussion.
Well, you can discuss it after it's seconded.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, motion's been made by Jack to waive policy DJE to continue the relationship with Controls Technology for FY '26. Do I have a second? Marion will second it, but I know two other people had questions, so Bree and then Mark.
Two questions. Do we know what the cost was last fiscal year?
It's about $4,000 difference last year. I beg your pardon?
Which way?
Less, because the addition, this is reflecting the addition of putting this building online.
And then my next question is, why is Danville so expensive in
Ah.
comparison to everything else?
Great minds think alike. Wait a minute, I need to go back to my email because we had another board member who sent that question.
Danville rep?
Could the Danville rep answer that?
Had to do with
Actually, I think she asked questions, but I think Dr. Martin's
control
really good.
units or something.
Yes, they do have more control units.
I don't know why they have
But
more
why? I
control
was
units.
just gonna say, but why do they
I don't
have
know
more?
why.
Well, and then we would be getting in,
Hold up, Dr. Martin. Why do they have more control units?
we would be getting into the technical aspects of HVAC, and that is beyond my understanding. But I will tell you that anecdotally, I believe it has to do with nooks and crannies and layout.
Okay, thank you. Mark.
You had mentioned as part of this, them coming, doing additional training, but also software updates. Did I mishear that? I would have assumed, I guess, with the contract, that software updates would have just been part of, hey, you're buying it, you get the software updates. Is that, do you know if that's an expense that we will continue to assume year after year, even if we decide not to use them as a service provider?
So regardless of, as we move forward, if we use a different company, we would still need someone to come in to keep that software up to date. And it involves writing code and moving, because what will happen, for example, I've asked for some specific things in this building, and that's somebody that has to be able to write code. So it's one way or the other, we're going to need someone to manage that going forward.
Okay.
And we've had this for a number of years.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I'm thinking that if we did not use them, so you'd need someone to program a special request, hey, by the way, summer session's been extended, so therefore we need to have an extra 5 days of XYZ.
Madam Chair? So I wish I could log in right now, but somehow I have a little corrupt issue with this website. I can actually log into the building automation system and I can adjust. Like, for example, I think this room was listed as unoccupied, and I've learned how to do those things. And you didn't see in the doorway, our technician came over and did some magical things. So much of this can be done remotely, but there has to be there's some the expression back end is back end work for that to be done, so that neophyte can be trained on how to do this.
And that's what a lot of this encompasses.
Correct.
Yeah, Jack, go ahead.
So I guess my only question is, you buy this $1 million control system for each building. And now, I understand maybe the first year or so, I kind of kept up with that, you need to kind of adjust the software to your needs. I guess my question is this going to be an ongoing expense for the next 20, I think that's, Mark, maybe what you were trying to say,
It
like
was.
10 years from now. And if it seems as though that's going to be the case, I wouldn't mind having either EEI or this company come in and explain it to me, because to me, there are some constants here. It's the same software and the buildings aren't changing, and if we put an addition on, then I get it, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Or similarly, could we try to do a multi-year contract that we were just talking about?
Don't forget though, guys, this isn't just a simple HVAC system anymore. You're talking about software. It's practically another computer, so it's always gonna have to be.
It's a lot of computers.
Go ahead.
I believe we have two questions. I'm happy to have someone appear before the board or the facilities committee or whatever needs to be done.
Yep.
And forgot the second question. Multi-year
Multi-year
contract.
contracts.
We're a bit under the gun to get this going because it's going to expire. So my intention with more time is to take care of multi-years along the way.
Don?
Do people like us, do we ever, does other school districts hire somebody to be an HVAC person that once trained on the new equipment would then take over and would be paying a salary position, which is kind of, I think probably cost effective depending on the training needed and the degree of time it takes. But it seems like there's going to be a constant need. But I would hope that after training is done, the person that's being trained is free to do the work, and not then jettisoning other important things to do that, So we might need to have somebody assume that type of a role at some point.
Yeah, Dr. Mark, go ahead.
So we have a full-time HVAC tech during the day, and we have a part-time evening gentleman who's also certified has his gas license, et cetera, who does other maintenance, which is what he came over to check to make sure that there wasn't a systems issue in the room. To give you an example of how this functions, I got a call from Mitch the other day over at the middle school that there was some issue with stagnant air in a particular wing. I went over with my computer and this is what I'm going to be doing with all the principals, is show them, pull up the system, show them the classrooms, and we looked at the classrooms and the timing element was off and they showed as being unoccupied. I called our day guy, Travis, and I said, Travis, can you open your computer? I see unoccupied in rooms 3, whatever, blah, 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 blah. He has editing access. They don't give me editing access because I could be dangerous. And he was able to open that right up for us. So that was a 15-minute, Mitch called, I went over, we looked at it. And right now, that's the kind of thing that we're doing with the BMS system to monitor buildings. As I get better at it, if it's something as simple as that, I can certainly change the schedule to make it say occupied. And then, of course, the fans, just like you just heard, goes on in the building. So that's almost taken off. So we have a guy. But he doesn't just sit at his computer and watch. He's also doing, he's got the wrench out and doing all kinds of stuff.
Paul and then Marion.
Just some of the commentary. So, yeah, and that's a good point, Don, but when you get into, especially if there's some newer stuff, you're gonna have HMIs everywhere. So you're gonna have these human machine interfaces, and we can learn how to use them. We can even get diagnostics off of them. If you got a condensate drain that's backed up, it'll tell you all these different things. You can set all the temperatures and all the heating and air conditioning and everything else, and you can set the seasons through the HMI. But if you have a connection issue between the HMI, in this case, I'm assuming mostly VAVs, could be CAVs, but there's these variable controls that are really smart. They send air and they utilize air around buildings and distribute it in a way that we never could before. Once you start getting into problems with that, we have people that show up from like Johnson Controls and from other places, and then you're trying to integrate the systems between, you got a Train condenser up top, you got a Mitsubishi one over here, then we decide that if we got some new stuff, we tied it into fire alarms and we might have even tied it into door
Lights.
entries,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
all that's together. Yeah, that's the problem. It gets, and I'll wrap this up by saying, it looks like this price is very similar to last year, plus the extra work, the $4,000 for the SAU building. I would personally be in favor of waiving policy this time, but I would think that next time we would think about entertaining not only a longer contract, but some bids. And there's with this kind of work, there's huge value in these people knowing what we have. I get it, but I think we do a little earlier next year and then go for the competitive bidding. I wouldn't want to just like deny this now and then not have a contract. That would be worse. So in this business, for me, I've been a customer on this in big buildings, and it's terrible when you don't have the right people doing it. It's awful terrible, like bad. So.
Marion?
Is this in the fiscal year 25 budget or the 26 budget? Where does it come from?
Fiscal year, no, it says fiscal year 26.
It's 26 for CTI. Thank you for,
So
I'm not on that page. I'm still trying to get on the system and Sandy can verify I have, something's corrupt here.
and my other question is whether we can somehow monitor what services they provide during the year.
Yep.
To justify that $61,000.
Sure.
To see whether it's, you know.
Alright, Jack,
Yes.
last comment, then we're gonna close out this one motion.
Paul, thanks a lot for all those acronyms. I had no idea what you're talking about. That sounded really good. One thing I think you did allude to, difference, when we were working with EEI at the very beginning, we made sure that all the units going on the road were all from one manufacturer. I think that was, we could have gone with different units on different roofs, but
They're all Daikin units.
yeah, so I think you said
On every building or just?
on every building.
The ones that we're, Madam
Yeah,
Chair,
go ahead.
forgive me,
Don't
the
worry.
ones that we're installing,
Yeah.
there are some leftovers here, for example.
Which also have to work in the controls. Yeah, it's an art that I don't even wanna try to do, but yeah, good point. It's
Alright.
good that we're doing that.
Okay, so motion has been made and seconded about waiving policy DJE. We've had good discussion. Any other last minute things? Alright, all those in favor? Opposed and abstained. Alright, everyone's for that. And then the last motion is to approve a contract extension with CTI for FY 26 at a cost of $61,638. Someone wanna make that motion?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Sapia. Do I have a second? Second. Seconded by Bree. Any other discussion on this motion? Alright, all those in favor? Opposed and abstained. Alright, one abstention. So 8-0-1. Mark did. Alright, lease payment options.
Lease payment option. This was before the board at last meeting for discussion. And just to review what that opportunity is, that the board has the opportunity to prepay phase one of the lease, resulting in significant savings of interest over time. If the board chose to do that, the payment would be $3 million, $3,077,450,000. $415. That's what I said?
You said 50.
Oh, I'm sorry, 15. Key benefit in terms of the interest savings, that amounts to $2,007,039. I'm gonna leave that language there for you. There's some language there about aligning those strategic goals, about being fiscally responsible for resources, and certainly reducing financial liabilities over time. To remind the board, phase one, the project list is complete, and it included all lighting upgrades at elementary schools across all 4 towns, in addition to roof replacements at the middle school and at Atkinson Academy. In terms of funding, to make that prepayment, if that was the board's choice tonight, the administrative team would look to utilize all capital lines first in the district budget before looking to move monies from salaries in order to make the prepayment. And again, the question before the board tonight, to be very specific, is should you utilize fiscal 25 funds to prepay phase one of the lease?
I do have a question. Do we know what type of penalties we're gonna have to pay and like what that would cost us?
Yep, the penalty is, don't quote me on the exact thing, I think it's around $60,000. That penalty is rolled already into the upfront payment that is listed before you in your executive summary. So it is the total payment there.
There's so much irony here.
Please.
I'm going to
Yep, go ahead,
be
Paul.
respectful. So there was we did this last year. We had voted to retain funds to do the same thing, correct? At one point?
This is a
And then
different,
we found, yes, but
this
we
is a
found out that
different
we couldn't do
scenario
it.
than last year.
Totally get why, and I understand why.
Yep.
And then we couldn't do that.
Correct.
That was
Same thing. Yep.
that was a different thing. There was members of the public that when we attempted to do that, despite a lot of clarity in the meeting, that the intent was to retain those funds to pay off a lease, save over $1 million in interest. Aside from the fact that we couldn't do it procedurally or legally. I mean, just words like, look at what the school board's doing, keeping your money, should be returned to the people. All this stuff. And we were very clear that it would go to a vote, and if it got voted against, it would go back. It was always going back. Why is this better? And by the way, I think it was stupid. We should have paid it. We couldn't because there was something
Yeah.
involved, like legally or financially, we couldn't do it. Fine. Or against RSAs or whatever, the state, fine. And I get why this is different, and we should do it. I'm just saying, I can already hear the cries now. We're spending all this money, even though it's a savings.
So why do it this way and not put it to a vote? Is that what
Just why do it at all? I mean, we were told that saving money was terrible last time with the interest. Just people basically telling we were stealing their money again and not returning their money again and all this other stuff.
All right.
And yeah, so
I see everything you're saying.
I remember everything he's saying.
I think everyone at this,
Not a lot of trust there, and, you know, I think people should recognize this is an opportunity to save
it was last time too.
money.
hold on. So yes, so here's the thing with being on the board. We have to make decisions. And we are never gonna make decisions that's gonna please everybody. But what we have to do is make decisions that's gonna be the best for the taxpayers and the school and our community and our school children and everything like that. So we have an opportunity, it's within our authority as the board to do this. If you don't wanna do this, we can take action and say, nope, not doing it and be done with it, or we can take action and say, yep, this is gonna save us over $1 million in interest to do it this way. That is our action tonight. So I'm gonna let Bree and then I'm gonna let Mary Ann go.
2 questions. One, can we take from salaries for the lease payment? Like, do they get appropriated the same way, proportionally wise?
We are able to move salaries to pay capital funds. It's a one bucket budget. That is really clear direction from your legal counsel.
And then
Your second question.
my second question, how will this cost savings be seen, I guess? Will the lease end half a year early? Will we get a little lower each year? How will it be seen by
Great
taxpayers?
So when we began phase one, we began paying phase one, and that was going to take us through 2043. So that's how it's amortized over that time. When we're prepaying that payment, and in this case, I think it may be $200 and some thousand a year, ceases to exist. It doesn't
Every
happen.
year, we would have savings?
And over the time of that pace, you are going to accumulate $1.2 million of savings.
So you will see 200,000 use, what did you say, 2,000?
200.
200, roughly 200,000, that will be less next year.
Correct.
Yeah, so immediate,
But I would say it like this, that you won't have included in the lease payment.
correct.
Mary Ann and then Mark.
So I just wanted to follow on from Paul's, two things are different in my mind this year. One is that these are funds that are in the budget that was voted over a year ago. And we have the funds in the budget now for fiscal year 25 to make this payment. And the savings, I don't think anybody ever challenged the idea of saving $1 million. And the other thing is we did look at this 2 weeks ago and didn't vote on it then to give people an opportunity to speak up. I personally didn't hear from anybody. I didn't hear the uproar like last year. So I think I'd like to move forward. Mark?
Think of it as prepaying your mortgage a little bit early. That's what it is, and you realize the savings throughout only to, understood. Now I understand. Paul, you're 100% correct. Last time, I think we agreed, we were receptive to what the public was saying, and we're saying, we had said that we would follow what they wanted, though we personally may believed it was not financially prudent to do so. That hue and cry is no longer being heard. I'm going to vote to do the responsible thing. I think we should have last time as well. There was no miracle ingredient to solve this recipe. This is the best thing we can do for the financial health of the district, prepaying it as it was last time. So I would like to move the question. Oh, sorry, Jack.
You don't get to make the question. Bree and then Jack.
Jack, I don't think you spoke.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Thank you, Bree. Jack and then Bree.
Thanks for running the meeting. As much as I would love to piggyback on what Paul said, I will refrain at this point in time. We've got to do what's in the best interest for everybody across the district. And overwhelmingly, the feedback that I got last time and this time is silly not to do it. And maybe an easier way to do this would have been not to have taken out the list. I want people just to consider this and add $5 million to the budget for 5 years in a row, but that would have never gotten through deliberative session, let's face it. So here we can make a substantial savings, and we know in some of the meetings, the public hearing and deliberate, we have people screaming at us for $10,000, $20,000. Here we have an opportunity to save millions. So I'm gonna support this because I believe it's in the best interest for the entire district, all 4 towns and every single household. Thank you.
Bree?
Just a quick procedural question, maybe Justin can answer this. Instead of paying it upfront, can we just not take 3 million out of the lease so that we have those funds, so that we are never incurred any interest and we wouldn't incur a fee? Does that make sense?
Sort of, but we need to make a payment. I don't know if that answers what you're looking for. We need to prepay phase 1 of the lease in full. That's the prepayment.
Okay.
And then we no longer incur an annual cost.
Right. But if we never take anything
I
out
can answer your
to
question.
begin with.
Okay.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Okay.
What you're saying,
I'm
can we
saying
set
for
those money
phase 2.
aside instead of prepaying it, use that to offset monies that we would have to take out and do the work?
Yes.
We could, however, we would lose 2 benefits. One, the benefit of not, right now, if we prepay, there's interest that we will not be paying on that, $3 million for the next X number of years.
Same if we don't take it out, keep going.
Additionally, the second benefit we get is this is for work that's already been done. Future work will be more expensive due to inflation. So the dollars that we would then put aside not to pay it off early are going to cost more for X project that, today would cost $3 million, next year is going to cost $3,090,000.
We'll still do the projects.
But we'd still do the projects would cost $90,000 more next year.
Do you understand what I'm asking?
I thought I did.
I think I do, but I don't think what you're wanting to do, we can.
That's a fine
Marion?
answer.
Can I try a different way of maybe asking what you're,
Sure.
phases 1, 2, and 3, we've taken out 15 million roughly from a $25 million lease. Prepaying phase 1 doesn't put those funds in again to be borrowed against that 25, does it?
No.
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 So basically, it doesn't make more funds available later to charge if we prepay now. And in order to have the interest savings, we have to pay phase 1 because we've already borrowed it.
Correct. But could we just have a $22 million lease instead of a $25 million lease? So that the interest never happens.
Essentially.
Then you're changing the terms of the master lease agreement.
Okay.
And I would look into this if you need me to, but my great assumption would be no.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thanks.
That was easy.
Alright, someone wanna make a motion?
I'll make that motion. I'll go to my glasses here. Make a motion to approve prepaying the phase one of the $25 million lease in the amount of $3,077,415.
Motion made by Mark, seconded by Paul. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor? Opposed and abstained. All right, and again, this is saving us over $1 million in interest. That's always good. All right, Justin, I think you're up again for budgets to actual report.
Happy to present the budget to actual to the board. This is for the month of,
Is it possible to get it up there? We've done that in the past.
Yeah,
That'd be
could you-
awesome. Just for the public.
I know, I
I'm
don't
trying
like
to
that.
share it.
But then you can't
Maybe
really
that's why-
read it
so-
all.
I know, there's a flippy
Yeah,
thing.
it's like there's a lot
I know.
easier to do.
Pluses and minuses on this.
But then it's hard to read when you make it smaller.
The flippy thing.
Dean, thank you so much.
Thank you. All right.
Again, just to remind the board, we're doing this at the second meeting of the month. This data you're looking at here is the continuation of data you've been seeing throughout the spring, into the summertime, and this is up until the close of the month of May. Two things I'd want to point out for anything significant since last time. The first is to revenue. Revenue right now is at 95% of the budget, and we are on target to still receive all expected revenue by the end of June. So we don't see any challenges or problems there.
Okay.
The other thing I would point out to you is that with expenses right now, we're certainly trending up. And with the projection that we can place there for June, based on some analysis from previous years, we're still looking where we've been reporting consistently over the past 3 months about closing the year somewhere in the $80.5 million range, which is essentially $8 to $9 million up north of spending from last year.
And this is just informational. Does anybody have any questions at this time? Yeah, Mark, go ahead.
I know the answer to this, others listening may not, and it seems substantial that the expenses are trending upward. Without getting into exact dollar figures, could you give us, kind of where those major deltas come from?
Yep, the big two pieces are salaries and then some of the works that we're doing with facilities. Perfect.
Jack?
So thank you very much for this. I just told Dawn, I feel like looking at this, I'm sitting in front of a Formula One race inside the cockpit. But what I guess when we have some unexpected expenses, my mind goes right to next year, which starts July 1st. Do we anticipate having any, for lack of a better term, hardships meeting our responsibilities moving forward? Like you just gave us an example of one expense that we didn't think we're gonna incur.
Jack, do you mean about our thoughts about meeting our
Our
obligations
budget,
next year?
Yes, our
I think
budget.
that working with the chair and the vice chair, we've been able, I think, to really be strategic and with our admin team to make some decisions now, looking to next year, that are setting up for the best possible success that we could possibly achieve. And that's through lots of different things that we're able to do now to plan for next year. One of those things I think I'll present, I think, here at the end of the evening in the agenda. So we feel good.
Thank you.
So the June green, that is estimated, it says, right?
Yes,
Projected
that's a
expenses.
projected kind of.
So after the previous vote, can we add 3 million to that?
No. Spending it out, subtract it out, because we're taking it away.
So wouldn't we, doesn't that jump up
Great,
to
let me get
60?
back to you whether, I know exactly what you're asking.
Okay.
Let me see whether we had included the vote you took tonight in that projection or not. I just want to be 100% accurate.
We talked about no. I don't believe it does.
I don't think it does.
I don't think it does either, but before
Okay,
I say
yeah.
yes or no, I just want to be clear.
That's just my question.
And it was a good one.
Any other questions about this report? And again, I thank Maria and you guys for making this, it's a lot easier to follow. Right, so Justin's gonna get back on that question. Budget to actuals, what we just did. Next is elementary enrollment update. Good evening, dear.
Hey, Lucy.
So in front of you have a similar report on page 1 that you've seen. There are quite a few cells that are highlighted showing that there's been a change since last time. Most of those are all within one or two, sometimes one addition and one withdrawal as well. So you'll see that there are significant changes, but not by much in the number. We do continue to watch grade 3 at Danville. Since we began reporting, that number has not changed, but we are at capacity in both of those classes. I tried to outline for you in a different format for early childhood, just as we have in the past, show you how many enrollments are finalized, meaning they are definites, and how many are still out there that we're working to finalize. But you'll see if you add up some of those numbers that if everyone finalizes, we have some really full sessions next year, which is a great thing to celebrate.
Does anybody have any questions about the enrollment? Yep, Alyssa.
What's the capacity again for the, like the pre-K and the kindergarten? How high can they go up to?
So preschool is 12, pre-K is 17.
Okay. And then same for kindergarten?
Kindergarten is 20.
20, okay.
Marion, go ahead.
So, for the Sandown Central AM preschool, if the 6 requested outstanding all were to join, that would put those 2 classes over the 12 limit. Would they have to go to the afternoon?
Yes. So as we fill up those sessions, we'll let families know that they're full and that we do have the option of the afternoon available.
Okay. So there's one where there's a wait list. There was a wait list at one point.
So we actually, in a couple of our sessions, we do have a wait list, and when parents register and the capacity of that class is full, we let them know that they can go to a different school. We have I think a total of 4 students between preschool and pre-K that are on a wait list at Atkinson because those parents have said that they're not interested in going to another school. They're just waiting if someone should back out. So for the most part, we don't have a wait list right now because we open available spots.
All right, thank you so much. Right, next on the list is academic standards approval. I believe it's you, Sadie.
That is me.
All right.
Hi, good evening. So there are actually kind of 2 connected agenda items in this one summary. So I've talked about revisions to the ED 306 rules, which are the minimum standards for school approval that are set by the State Board of Education and the Department of Education. Those were approved back in December and are pretty all-encompassing. If you think about standards for school approval, those range from policy development, definitions of various things ranging from staffing positions to things like competency, what does credit mean? All of those types of things are embedded in that. Along with that, we will be bringing to you likely, I wanted to kind of forecast for you, this will likely be a standing agenda item. We are tackling one specific topic tonight, but policy committee will be doing a comprehensive review of our current policy manual to make sure that we are in alignment with changes that have been made to the minimum standards that may connect to changes in RSA. So this is going to be ongoing work. It's going to be quite detailed and impact all of our schools. So that is sort of a forecast for you. When these changes were adopted, just statewide, there was a grassroots effort amongst districts around the state, around all different regions of the state. School administrators, educators began communicating together and set up, in some cases, some in-person work sessions up in Concord. And then there were between 10 and 15 remote work sessions that pertain to different components of the minimum standards, right? So there was a work session that pertained to graduation credits, another one to policy development, another one to elementary standards, high school standards, and so on and so forth. Many of us who work in this district were part of those sessions. And from that work, which was really deep collaborative work at the state level, there were 7 big takeaways that group identified. So the first attachment you have to my executive summary is a 7 big takeaway guide to the minimum standards. So just to highlight for you, high level, what some of the major changes are to these state standards. The first is competency-based education. And so you will be hearing from us a lot about, what are competencies, what is competency-based education, what are our requirements with regard to credit, awarding of credit at the high school level and graduation, and how does that connect back to competencies. Graduation requirements will be changing. Those will take effect with the incoming freshman class of 2026-27. So that is, I believe, the graduating class of 2030, which sounds really strange to say, but that is their graduating class. So we have, timeline-wise, we have from now until essentially the fall to work on some pretty significant course changes, credit requirements with the high school. And so you will be seeing some of those coming to you in the fall. The standards, while they do mandate certain things at the state level, New Hampshire has a tradition of local control. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight with the second agenda item that I'm going to be talking about. Parental engagement is a huge focus of the minimum standards. So there are guidelines that promote increased, enhanced communication with multiple stakeholders, but really with our parent community to improve their ability to communicate with the schools, have some input into their child's education. There is a strong focus on innovative practices. Those range from extended learning opportunities. I wanted to highlight that because we as a district are in really good shape with regard to some of these things because we have been, I think, at the cutting edge in many respects around the state for some of these approaches to proficiency-based education, competency-based education, extending learning opportunities, finding alternative pathways for students. And so by law, those are things that districts will have to provide, and we are already doing some of those things. The minimum standards provided key definitions, which did not exist in state law in the past. There are now definitions of what a competency is, what credit means. There's a definition of an educator in there, and so on and so forth. And then finally, CTE, we are not a CTE center, as I think we are all very well aware. Those guidelines are governed by the state. We do not have the ability, we are not in a catchment area where we would have the ability to become a CTE center. But these guidelines really promote collaborative teaming across districts and regions where there are CTE centers to allow students across regions to access these programs. So this is a high-level overview of what we're going to be talking about with you over the next 12 to 18 months. I'm going to move on to what specifically we are bringing to you tonight. Step one of this work connects to a new guideline, which is ED 306.26. I gave you the verbiage there so you can look at it. There's also a link directly to the RSA that connects to this. But in the new minimum standards, the state is now required to establish state academic standards. And so just wanted to, because one of you asked me a question on the way in, wanted to just briefly give you a high-level example of the difference between a standard and a competency. So we talk a lot about competency-based education. We have course competencies. We'll have to assign course credit and graduation credit connected to competencies. Competencies are high-level umbrella statements, if you will, that pertain to different domains of content areas. Underneath each umbrella, there may reside anywhere from 1 to 3 to 5 to 10 different academic standards that drill down to more isolated skills that filter up to a competency. So we may have a competency for reading informational text at every grade level. Underneath that competency, there would be up to sometimes 12 different academic standards that pertain to different skills developmentally at different grade spans and things of that nature. So tonight we're talking about standards and academic standards. So the state now has a requirement for school boards to adopt the state standards in academic content areas that are set by the Department of Education. I've given you some of the guidelines that the state has set for themselves with regard to what standards need to address. And so there's a bulleted list for you. I'm going to read some of those. They need to be clear and measurable. developmentally appropriate and progressive. They need to be rigorous. We're gonna talk about rigor tonight. Rigorous, and they need to promote critical thinking and problem solving. They need to be aligned with deep content understanding. And finally, the state has set an expectation that the state itself will review and update all of their academic standards for different content areas every 10 years to make sure that they are up to date and in line with current research and best practices and things along those lines. That is the new expectation. I talked to you about local control is a common theme. So while there is this guideline, there is also a rule under 830626, that is section J, which allows local school boards to adopt standards that differ from the state academic standards, provided that they meet at least the same level of rigor as those set by the state, okay? So our team, we brought this to Curriculum and Assessment Committee. Our team did a comprehensive review of all of the standards that are currently in use in our district. So the third document in your packet that pertains to this is a pretty lengthy template. So it is an academic standards approval template that we developed. In that document, you will see in alphabetical order all of the different content areas for which we currently have curriculum developed in our district. If you would like to look at those curriculum documents, you can go directly to any of our district or school websites. There is a tab that says approved curriculum. You can click on that. It will take you to all of our curriculum documents where you can look and see the standards embedded in those documents. So this is an alphabetized list. I'm going to kind of guide you through what you're looking at. So each of these columns, the first column next to the content area will have a link in it. That will be a link to the standards that are currently set by the state of New Hampshire, okay? So those are the state standards that we are required to align to. The second column will have a link to the current academic standards that we are using in the Timberlane Regional School District, okay? Those are what we are currently using. Now I'm going to talk about the color coding. I know Bree asked me to walk you all through the color coding. This is arbitrary. I assigned these colors just arbitrarily, but there are 4 different categories that we're looking at. So in this template, the first is for the rows that are colored purple, okay? We currently, as a district, are aligned to the state standards that are in use and defined by the state of New Hampshire. Those are the content areas of English language arts, mathematics, and then preschool, pre-K, and science. Because we are currently using the same standards of the state, anywhere you see a purple row, there is no comparison needed. We do not need to make a decision as to whether or not our standards meet that requirement. No comparison needed. Anything that is green, so that's computer science and world languages, while we do not currently use the exact same standards as the state of New Hampshire, the standards that the state adopted align to the standards that we determined as well. So the state added some language. They might have an introductory section and things of that nature. But if you open the state's document, you will actually find the same standards that we're currently using. So again, there's no rigor comparison necessary. Anywhere that you see something yellow, the state has not defined academic standards. Okay, so we do not have standards to compare to. No comparison is necessary because the state has not provided those for school districts. So those content areas are business, engineering, digital literacy, family and consumer science, information computer technologies, industrial technologies, library media. Life skills is not necessarily a content area, but it's a sequence of courses that we offer through our special education department. I included that because we draw on a variety of different content areas. And then finally, school counseling. We will be developing our own standards for school counseling, but the state does not have those, so we do not need to compare ourselves against the state. Okay, that finally brings us to the rose and blue. That is what we need to look at tonight. That is what we are bringing to you. We had to go through for the following content areas a process to determine if the standards that we are currently using in the Timberlane district for art, health, music, physical education, theater, and social studies. We have adopted national standards that differ from the state standards. So by ED 306 rules, we have to demonstrate to you you will have to vote, if we so choose, to continue using those national standards, that you agree that those standards meet or exceed the level of rigor of those set by the state. You following me? Okay. So, that now leads us to how do you determine rigor? And I'm not gonna go super in-depth with that. But suffice it to say that we had a lengthy discussion about this at the May meeting of the Curriculum and Assessment Committee. We talked about what is rigor. And we settled on a definition where rigor includes a variety of things that include depth of knowledge, the level of thought, and there are different levels of Bloom's taxonomy is one of the documents that we can look at. Things such as student engagement, student self-directed learning, inquiry-based learning approaches. Those are all things that filter into what really defines rigor from a cognitive level. So we adopted a tool that is called the HEST Rigor Matrix. You have links to all of these documents. That is a document that examines rigor using a pretty scientific approach. And with those different tools, we did a comparison of the state standards, many of which have not been updated since 2001. So again, the state should be updating these soon. They have not in 25 years. And we have currently adopted standards that were developed in the past decade. So for all of the cases that we went through this process, we determined that the national standards that we have been using do indeed exceed, not meet, but exceed the level of rigor of the state standards. The supporting documentation that you have, there are links in here. And so for each of those content areas, you're going to see a link to the HEST Rigor Matrix that we use to make this decision. You'll see a link to a document that we created that's a high-level grid that will summarize for each of the sets of standards what that comparison looks like. And again, we consider cognitive demand, depth of knowledge, the inquiry focus. Disciplinary literacy is what's the depth of knowledge with regard to the discipline that they're studying that students need to require, and real world application. So you will have one of those high level comparison documents for each content area. And finally, there's a high level summary that tried to put some language to this to summarize, right, the different areas where we believe these national standards exceed the state standards. So it's a lot of information. There are a lot of links embedded in here if you want to dig deeper. But we brought this to the Curriculum and Assessment Committee at our June meeting, had more in-depth conversation with that group. We're able to have some question and answer. And that committee voted unanimously to move the document here and to recommend that the school board adopt the current standards that we are using, which align to the national standards, because they do in fact exceed the level of rigor of the state standards. It's a lot. So I'm happy to answer questions if you have them.
It's a lot to absorb.
Yes.
Before we open, does anybody on that committee, do they want to speak to this and the work that's been going on? Ellen?
Yeah, these are, the matrix, the HEST matrix is beyond traditionally what, most districts have really gone through to try to analyze, the level of their work. Bloom's taxonomy has been around for a long time, and people kind of got an understanding of basic learning, building up to creative use of, what you've been taught and what you're able to do. And I think our district has done very well along that one. But when we went through the process and looked at, the thoroughness of, the executive summaries in art especially, or initially, as a group, you could see how completely confident, the whole committee became that we were in great shape, right across the board. So, I was very impressed beyond when I was here, how far it's come, how complex it is. But the command that Sandy has of the process, her willingness to dig deep and reassure not just herself and, the SAU in general, the department heads, the people who are our top educators, in the schools doing the work, I mean, it's been very thorough and very impressive, and, I would recommend that we, make these, we approve of what we're doing and demonstrate to the state as we need to.
And to be honest, I absolutely looked at this team and said, where are our worries? What areas are we worried about? Not a one. Not a one, which was so exciting to hear. And to hear that we are either directly in alignment or exceeding expectations for our student learners across the board, all through all grade areas and all cognitive domains was commendable. So I am in full support of this board moving this through as well.
Great.
Same here. This was a great opportunity for me to kind of get my feet wet with the Curriculum and Assessment Committee. And they did a very good job of explaining where we were, what needed to be done, and using this best tool, the best rigor matrix, and coming up with a good summary within a short amount of time. So very impressive work, and I fully support this as well.
Questions? I know Jack had one and then I'll let Bree.
So this is pretty impressive, but there's a lot here.
Oh,
There's a lot here to absorb. And when it comes to this, Sandy, thank you very much for that dissertation, the color coding, because you answered the question. As soon as you brought up the color coding, I was able to better understand kind of where we were on this, so thank you for that. It's just an awful lot for me to absorb when it comes to this. I need to be the sponge and you guys are the water, and I need just to suck this all in. So don't know if I'm kind of ready to make a vote tonight, but I have total trust in you guys. So if there is a vote tonight, I'll probably abstain, and that would be the reason, just because I don't.
That's fair.
This is the first time I'm
No,
seeing.
no, I just had a question procedurally.
And-
Do we need 100% of the board? Sorry, Jack, before you. On this one? Okay, thank you.
And as this relates to, and I don't think these two are one and the same, the proficiency rates versus the rigor. Is any of that, do these things cross over?
So the state academic standards are what are used to develop the state assessments that measure proficiency rates in different content areas. So in the case of language arts, mathematics, and science, we currently align to those that the state has adopted. The exams, the New Hampshire State Assessment System, their state assessments are built off of the same standards that are in our curriculum documents at every grade level. So when we get those proficiency rates, it allows us, it's one piece of information for us to measure against the standards in our curriculum, like how well are we doing against our curriculum targets. So they're intimately related.
Okay. I just want to say this, I know this is a ton of work, and it's very impressive what you guys have done, the committee, and specifically you. I'm never shy about sharing how I feel about the hard work. Thank you.
Yeah, we work as a team, but thank you.
So I just had concern about the world language. You explained the 2018, 2014. 2014 puts us outside that 10-year compliance, where it's kind of worded funny where it says board approved every 10 years, but not necessarily that it is relevant within 10 years. But it says then as needed to keep curriculum relevant. And so I guess I would like to see that world language move to the 2018 version.
So if I may, the 2018 version has an introduction, some language that references some other documents, so proficiency standards and guidelines, performance descriptors, can-do statements, which are all embedded in our curriculum. Aside from the introduction and the links to those documents, they are exactly the same standards as what we're using.
So can't we say we're the
100%.
same? And
We
are
essentially are.
2018?
So yes, we can't because we did not embed the New Hampshire World Language Curriculum Standards. We embedded the World Readiness Standards for Learning Languages from the American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Languages, which are one and the same, essentially. if that makes sense. We did not adopt the version that is published by the state of New Hampshire with their introduction and conclusion. The standards are identical. We don't need to compare rigor because they're the same. The state has not updated their standards in 25 years. They are not adhering to their own guidance. I don't have that concern. And I can say with confidence that in that content area, we far exceed what the state is doing.
And so then we would meet the standard that, because it is board approved within 10 years, not
Yes.
necessarily the
Yes.
content article
Yes.
standard is within 10 years. Okay. And my second question, this goes back to your previous statement about the credits changing for, so how does that affect college, especially out of state, and how does that affect like dual enrollment and early college?
So just to be clear, can you be more specific about, are you asking about graduation credits?
Isn't that what you said was going on?
Yes. So things that have changed at the state level are there are a minimum number of courses that have to be offered in different content areas. Those have changed, right? So social studies, those have shifted a little bit. That's what we have to dig into. With regard to early college credit, I can't really speak to that because those are courses that are offered by community colleges, things like that. I would anticipate that those would still be electives that we can offer. In some cases, those can count for a credit. So for example, if we offer AP statistics, and that is a dual enrollment opportunity with Southern New Hampshire University, students can get potentially elective college credit for that course. They can also satisfy a math credit for the Timberlane district and what the state requires for a math graduation credit. That likely won't change, but there are some things that will shift. So for example, financial literacy is something we will have to offer. There are credits that we now need to develop for logic and rhetoric. There's a whole variety of things that we need to dig into,
So credits aren't going away.
Credits are not going away.
I misheard that.
But the credits that the courses we are required to offer that lead to credit to qualify for graduation have changed.
Okay, so we offer different courses. Yes, okay, thank you.
This was a lot to absorb. Thank you all for your dedication in working on this. I know this will be a recurring thing. So does someone want to make a motion?
Make a motion to adopt the academic standards outlined in the academic standards approval template for all identified content areas.
Motion made by Shauna. Got a second by Mary Ann. Beat you. All right, is there any other further discussion or comment on this? All right, all those in favor? Opposed and abstain. All right, that's everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Now, revocation of policy DO, food services meal account balance.
So moved.
Finally.
Finally, everybody's here. I'll second that.
Who made that?
Great.
All right, Bree made the motion. Shauna seconded it.
We'll wait like 3 weeks, 3 meetings for this.
Any other discussion? Again, this has been a recurring thing. All right, all those in favor? Opposed or abstain?
Nailed it.
We're gonna rue the day that was the quickest line item. All right, and then Mr. Krieger, I think you had the last agenda item for the New England Center for Children.
I do. I would like to just take this opportunity and make a really specific recommendation to the board and to encourage you to engage in some decision making tonight. Before I get to that specific request, I want to outline a lot of information, so I think you've got the framework to have the information you need to make a sound decision. So in the overview, and this is an executive summary that begins on page 61 of your packet, remind everybody that we currently contract with the New England Center for Children, NECC, and they provide special education programming to students on the autism spectrum. They do that here within our district. We currently have a program operating out of Sandown Central and also an elementary program out of Atkinson Academy. These programs are available to all resident students for anyone who meets qualification eligibility criteria, and they're currently running at max capacity. That is at number 6 and 7 respectively between the pre-K and the elementary program. And those programs are funded in the current voted budget. As part of our long-term and strategic initiative, I plan to bring a recommendation through the Budget Committee in this next cycle to begin funding a secondary NECC program to begin operations within the voted budget in the 26-27 school year. This is in order to support the elementary students who will be rising into the secondary level, but also to identify those students that are currently in our secondary level that could benefit now. As a board, you've previously heard from administrators and teachers and parents presenting the success of this program at both the New Hampshire State Board of Education and here within the Timberlane Regional School Board meeting. Take a quick moment to remind you what the program does and how it's organized. When we contract with NECC, they provide a full-time lead teacher to support an ABA-based intensive educational classroom experience for the full school week within our schools. This program can serve 6 students in the first year and may expand to an additional student with mutual agreement between both organizations in year 2. The contract with NECC also provides a clinical supervisor 1 day a week on site and home-based consultations for family and students enrolled in that program. The cost of the district for those services is $218,000. The district provides in this agreement each enrolled student with a 1-to-1 tutor, facility place to organize operations, and classroom materials. I've outlined these program benefits for you before, but they're germane here, so I want to do that again for you tonight. First and foremost, and we'll continue to maintain this argument, that students and families remain in their home community to receive their education. This is the primary benefit. Secondly, students and their families are educated in an environment that can also include typical peers. When they're in our schools, it provides opportunity to connect with all the other things that happen in schools with typical peers. And lastly, the district may realize financial savings by establishing a program within the district as opposed to seeking out-of-district placements for students. Consider that although the cost of an out-of-district placement can vary, budgeting $100,000 to $150,000 is a reasonable projection, and that number does not include cost of transportation to those schools that are operating outside of our district, but we may need a contract with to meet the needs of those students. So the question for the board I'll put to you tonight, and then I'll make a specific recommendation, is should you utilize fiscal 25 funds that are available to enter into a contract with NECC to establish a secondary partner classroom program to begin operations in the fall of 2025? It's a very clear recommendation I want to make that yes, we should do this. In addition to bringing the program to the secondary level that aligns to our strategic initiative a year earlier than expected, it can also realize immediate benefits to existing students and families. Administration has identified 2 students currently enrolled at the secondary level who would qualify for this program in 25-26. For both students, the 1-to-1 tutor is already part of the voted budget in that same fiscal year. Administration is also engaged an out-of-district family who would qualify for the program, and they have expressed an interest to return to Timberlane if the program begins operations in the fall in 2025. That is the backstop. I think we can get a jump start on serving kids and families. I'm already moving in this direction. We are moving in there at a district. We need places for these kids to rise to. If we can do it a year earlier and get some feet wet at the secondary level, we'll just be much more aligned to begin welcoming all the rising folks that are going to be coming up in that next school year. I am happy. I know Ms. Allaire and Dr. Martin are happy to answer any questions or talk through anything the board may need to inform a decision for you tonight.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, the quick math on that, it seems like it pays for itself, like three times, cheaper, it's just amazing. But what is the longevity? What do you expect? How long do you think this type of a service can be available to us? Like NECC, is that that's steady and reliable over time?
I think we have a really good relationship with them. I think that they are benefiting from the partnership with us as well. Mm-hmm. I think we've seen the bottom line is that we've seen families come through and talk about how it's life-changing for them and their children. I have not felt any challenge from them that they're not able to staff or they're going anywhere. They're a well-established organization doing great work. My only concern is talking about it so much publicly and with other superintendents that maybe that those resources dry up as other people wanna suck them into their schools. But right now, I mean, we've engaged, they have a teacher for us, they have a contract in place. And I'm simply looking for the permission to be able to pull the trigger and access it a year earlier than anticipated.
Lisa, then Mark. Marion, if you had something.
The 218,000, that would be for the whole school year? Is
Whole
that
s-
projected?
It is the whole school year, that is the
Whole
amount
school
of the contract, and that also includes the ESY programming for those students
Oh, nice.
within the month of July following their academic year.
So from following this, essentially we would be able to provide services internally in district rather than having kids shipped out. And we would be able to keep them rather than paying tuition for them to be out. Better student incomes, more time with our students in their seats receiving the instruction and environment that most benefits them. Better for the parents, quite obviously. From the financial side, with those 3 students identified, suggestion there will be more, $300,000 to $500,000 worth of saving, in addition to saving on the transportation costs. Okay, this seems like not only the right thing to do, but financially responsible thing to do.
It's nice when those two things align.
Isn't it beautiful?
Marion, did you have something on?
Yeah, so the 2, possibly 3 students at the secondary level, are they all at the middle school or all at the high school, or does that matter?
That's a great question. It does matter. There's the program has a very specific span of ages that can be within the same physical program itself. We're looking at right now 2 middle school students and potentially a high school student to come back. Next year, there's not a challenge with that age span. It can run as a secondary program. It doesn't have to be a distinct middle school program and a distinct high school program.
That answer your question, Marion?
So the high school student is within the age of the middle school students, is that what?
Special
is that
education,
correct?
special education programming that's approved through the state of New Hampshire has very specific constraints around sometimes, for instance, in some programs, you may not be able to have a 5th grader and a kindergartner in the same program within the same elementary school because their ages they exceed the span. But if you've got someone at the middle school that's on the higher end of middle school and someone on the lower end of high school, they're within that age span and can be within the same program.
Did that answer your question a little bit better? Jack, did you have something?
Yeah, I think sometimes people forget, there are a lot of, I'm into the proficiency rate stuff, but people forget some of the very special things that go on around here. I remember a family that came in and spoke to us with their child. And that really drove home, at least for me, some of the stuff that goes on here, well beyond the standard stuff. So Justin, thank you for bringing this to us. And anything we can do to support, I mean, to me, this is more about the student than it is about the financial end of this, where I'm coming from. So thank you. And for those people that I think sometimes it's underappreciated because it's not out in front of the public every day what goes on around here. So thank you.
So just to clarify, these are unfilled positions currently that were budgeted for in special education that were not utilized, and we will be funding this program through those.
Sort of. If you go to the next page there, and I didn't want to get there before you made your decision, but if you made a decision to do this and gave me permission to enter into this contract, the next thing I would ask you for is a budget transfer. So how would we pay for it this year? You're going to see it's coming from all special education function codes, teachers' assistants, and mostly salary lines for special education that were not expended this year. We don't plan to expend them this year.
That answer your question? Okay. Alright. Go ahead, Justin.
One thing I heard there, though, that I want to clarify is it doesn't add any positions to the district.
Correct.
It's that we're contracting with the organization. The folks they're sending to us are contractors. They're not employees of the district, and it's for a year, and that's what the agreement is for.
Fran?
So this budget transfer is for fiscal year 25 funds?
The budget transfer you're looking at is fiscal 25 funds to make that transfer so we can enter into this contract prior to the fiscal year. There's some consultation that we can also do here in June and in June to ready ourselves for some preparatory things.
And this program will be in place next academic year.
It would be in place if this goes through operationally in the fall of 2025.
Alright. Done.
Again, just looking down the road, you see this growing and having more people involved over time. And
Yes, I mean, I'll say again, we have the only preschool program in the state of New Hampshire that's running at that level. There are some districts that have it at the elementary level, but we're primed at this point to begin building the next rise for this group of kids and the groups of kids that are going to come after.
you feel confident in the facility needs that we can offer?
Currently, right now, yes.
Great. Maybe not necessarily if this goes through in the coming year, but with someone coming back to us and us being able to utilize this resource, do you think we in the future might be able to get other students in and maybe see a revenue
Tuition in.
there?
Are you asking about having non-resident students tuition into the program?
Could they be in this program?
If we're a special education approved program, which I believe that we could do that. We're at capacity now with our own students, which would, I think, hopefully be the board's priority moving forward.
Yes.
I believe there's a potential, we can further explore that in terms of maximizing that side as well. But those programs have been at capacity or near capacity since their inception, and they're fairly new to the district. They have not been operating for very long. One historical piece I can share with you is that these are the two really robust special ed programs that are operating in our schools at the elementary level. This year, coming into 25 and 26, will be the first year in Timberlane, and since I can look back at data that says we are not have a single elementary student placed out of our district. That's a far cry from where I go back, and we were budgeting $700,000, $800,000, $1 million at the elementary level. That's a direct result of having programs for students to enroll in and be able to recommend placement here in our schools.
So we got maybe two things. We gotta get through the first thing first. Does someone wanna make a motion?
I would.
Go ahead.
Motion to utilize the FY 25 funds to enter into a contract with NECC to establish a secondary classroom beginning the fall of 2025 for the amount of $218,000.
Alright, motion's been made by Mark. Do I have a second? Second. Seconded by Shauna. Any further discussion, comments? Alright, all those in favor? Opposed and abstain. One abstention. Alright, cool. And then we need to do the second thing. Move some money.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve those budget transfers in the amounts and accounts specified in the budget transfer request dated June 19th, 2025, totaling $218,000.
Motion by Mark. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Shauna. Any other discussion? Alright, all those in favor? Opposed and abstain. One abstention. Alright, cool. Thank you. Go forth.
Dr. Martin is going to have some very brief things. I think Ms. Allaire has some very brief things, and then I'll happy to close.
So I just want to remind the board, thank you, Superintendent. Want to remind the board that we have a walkthrough with potential architects for our bathroom project on June 24th at 11 a.m. We'll meet here in the boardroom and then head over to the high school with whomever attends and have a good conversation and show them what it is that we're looking to do for our students. The bid opening follows on July 10th. This is a great news in the special ed world. Not just the conversation that we just had about NECC, but also I received notice today that the district is 100% in compliance with the 830 compliance elements in the NECC system for students with disabilities, every single student in the district. I'm extremely impressed with all of our special ed teams and under the leadership of our special ed coordinators and their administrative staff in each building. The other piece there is we also received notification that we have no determination of significant disproportionality for discipline or identification of students, meaning we are not disproportionately identifying students in different racial categories or disciplining them, students with disabilities. So that's also a really a good notice for the district. Again, kudos to our staff for that. Disproportionality is a big issue, and it's again very impressive. And Mr. Stack ruined my last thing here. I wanted to talk a little bit about Danielle Bates. I heard of somebody talking about her at the high school the other day, that she is the real deal. And as Mr. Stack said, she's off to, she's the New England champion and is off to nationals, which is just amazing. And that's what I've got for you. Thank you.
Sandy? I just wanted to highlight one specific thing. So I think over the past year, we've tried to bring you updates periodically on some of the activities that we've been able to access federal grant funding to support in our schools, to support student learning and a variety of things. So esports programming, we talked about that a little bit. I wanted to talk to you more specifically about a different program that we developed this year. So we worked in consultation with educators at the high school who work with our life skills programming to request funding from the state through Title IV funding to purchase supplies to build and put into operation 4 hydroponic tower gardens at the high school. And so just this morning, I received from some of our related service providers and educators in that program. They sent me their annual report with some data attached to it. I just wanted to highlight some of this because I think this is a really special program. If you've been in the high school and you've walked in the cafeteria, you may have seen some of the tower gardens. They decided to house them there. So I think there were some really large tomato plants growing right
Biggest
now.
one I've ever
those.
seen in my life.
But they purchased the materials, they assembled them, and so just wanted to read you some of the highlights of this. So one of the goals of this program was really to support students with intensive needs through hands-on experiential learning aligned with different areas of their curriculum. So specifically, there is a unit, activities of daily living. That includes basic nutrition, meal planning, and cooking. Many of the students in life skills may have sensory sensitivities, limited food preferences, just minimal exposure to fruits and vegetables and things of that nature. So this was an effort to remove barriers for those students and expose them to opportunities to help develop some of those skills. So this year they participated in all aspects of the Tower Garden. Working with the educators in that program, they helped set up the systems, they planted seeds, they monitored growth, they adjusted nutrient levels, they tested pH levels, they harvested produce. They worked with our food services staff to harvest greens and deliver them to the cafeteria. They collaborated with our culinary arts classes to provide fresh and healthy produce that those students used when they were preparing meals. And so just something that I think is really exciting is those educators, and this is something that we are required to do with all grants, but we make every effort to measure the success of different activities and to get a baseline and then a post measurement. And so with regard to some of the goals of this program, which again include nutritional understanding, food vocabulary, engagement, and connectivity with fresh produce, they looked at their fall scores and their spring scores, and on average, they saw a 76.7% increase in correct responses on the assessments that they administered to these kids. And just anecdotally, in talking with these kids and working with them, just really observed them becoming more comfortable, feeling increased levels of connection with their peers and classmates and staff in the building because they were able to engage around this program. So we're really proud of it, really proud of the educators who worked with those students and of the work that they did. So I just want to congratulate those teachers and thank them for all of their work this year. So
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I'll first point out that all of you've got a glass here, I think, in front of you. It is yours to take home with you. It is from the student council, and I believe there is a personalized message that they put on each of the things for you. So thank you to them. It's nice for them to recognize
Thank you, guys.
your work this year. Wanted to ask first and maybe engage in some conversation, some decision-making about negotiation teams. We've brought it here before. A couple of people have expressed some interest about where we want to lie, but to remind you, we've got 4 unions that we're going to be negotiating contracts for coming up. We're going to start most likely strategizing and meeting over the summer months. I have so far that Mary Ann may be interested in the administrators union and also the paraeducator union. And Shauna and Don were interested in potentially TAM, and Shauna also potentially on the CODA and SLP. Looking to leave tonight with those teams kind of cemented, so when we start to organize, we can include you as the board member representation on those negotiation teams.
How many board members do we probably need?
I think 2 is a good way to be.
So didn't one already have 2?
Yep, we got, if Shauna and Don are committed to TAM, that one can get checked.
You two good with that?
Mhm.
All right, mark that off. All right, so then we have the administrators and the paras, is that right?
Correct.
So what are the abbreviations for those unions?
TAU is the administrator union.
Okay.
And the paraeducator union is the TSSU.
And then we have one each for those? Or,
Both are Mary Ann right now.
all right. Mary Ann, do you wanna do both of those, or is there one that you're more over than the other?
I don't know what the time commitment is.
It can get,
It can get.
Either one is fine, but maybe not 2.
okay. So do you wanna stick with the TSSU maybe, the support staff? You okay with that? All right.
I'll join that with her,
You wanna do that one? Okay.
if she'll have me.
Check TSSU, that's good.
All right, I can do the TAU one, and I need one more person for it. Come on.
I'll do it.
Thanks, Alyssa.
All right, and then
Did it?
CODA SLP.
Which is that one again?
So that's your certified occupational therapy assistants and your speech language pathology assistants.
All right.
Who are not currently unionized.
This is
So
the-
this might be a little bit of legwork for anybody that's coming in. It's a job I currently do in another capacity, so I understand their roles and things, so whoever wants to jump on board with me, I will support you in the learning aspect of it.
I can jump on that one too.
Your hands up.
All right, thank you for that, and can always rearrange or shuffle around if we need to
Yeah.
as we move forward. Wanted to also just remind the board that Ms. Salovich has sent you a poll. I was working with
Yes.
the chair and the vice chair. We're looking to organize a meeting with legal counsel this summer, the week of July 14th, to go over roles and responsibilities, to have some collaboration between the board and the superintendent. So I just wanted to encourage you to get onto that poll, and if you don't have it or can't find it or don't see it, please reach back out. I'd like to be able to look and cement a time and place so we can get it locked into our calendars for everybody. And lastly, for a calendar date, remind everyone again, we're closing with the staff tomorrow morning. The invitation's open to all board members if you wanted to join us. We're doing a small breakfast at both the middle school and high school. But the main event will be us at the PAC. We'll be together as a full community, every single person that works in Timberlane for about a half hour. So you are welcome to come there.
What time does that start?
9 o'clock. 9 o'clock start, 9:30 end.
You told me, you didn't want me to go, okay?
Looking out toward the summertime, I know this is one of our last meetings of the fiscal year, and then we're going to be getting together right now, schedule-wise, back in August. Things I just want to report out there on my brain that we're going to start moving on is the tax cap committee. I'm going to work with Alyssa as the co-chair, and we'll look to the month of July to organize that first meeting and set a meeting calendar and start working toward the report to the board that we've heard is going to be in the fall. Also wanted to let you know that I have an update for you regarding the fund balance retention, which we have talked about a little bit through the admin report over the course of the spring. I think like we had anticipated, the DRA did not accept our rationale for why we should still have a retention of the fund, despite I think the evidence we put forward for them. As we had talked about here, if that was going to happen, we were going to engage legal counsel, and legal counsel was engaged and sent the DRA legal counsel a letter on May 30th. I don't have any response for them right now, but we're on the track that we needed to be on. Again, there's still time for us if we needed to do anything like that, but I'll be able to come back in August. There will be still plenty of time to make any determinations the board needs to make. But your legal counsel now is taking action and engaging them and see if they can work a resolution before anything is formalized. Also in the summertime, we'll be tracking where the cell phone legislation ends up and what happens with that and what implications will be in terms of policy and procedure. We'll be engaged with our professional organizations, and I know certainly with our administrative teams to be mapping out anything we need to do different than we're currently doing now to prepare for the beginning of the year, pending any law change. And really good news on the health trust front. A while back in the spring, we were bringing to you some concern around SB 297. This was going to make Health Trust insolvent, and they were going to be able to cease operations. That bill is now non-concurred by the Senate, and Health Trust has issued a letter to their members that this means unequivocally that coverage is not ending. So that kind of calamity that we would have had to move through for right now is not happening. So let's all celebrate that fact. Want to reiterate what Cam had brought up in the student report. We, I think this year, brought back maybe seniors going to the elementary schools. I know it hadn't happened a lot before. I heard from every elementary administrator that had that experience at their schools. I had seniors talk to me about it. I talked to elementary kids. It was such a good practice and such a way to show the trajectory. And it's got so much momentum. So we're going to continue to do that next year and maybe even build off of components of it. All of that stuff is information. I'm here to make another request of you tonight. Bear with me as I walk you through this idea that may seem difficult to grasp at first.
You have all
Do we
that
need
high
to take a
confidence in
break
us?
before we do
No, we don't
this?
take a break. I just think it's gonna.
No.
So
Dealing with non-concurred.
I wanted to use the legal language. That's actually what they did. They non-concurred.
Go for
All right, so we moved through a process this spring where we worked together to realign the budget to the voted budget that was given to us by the voters. In doing that, we eliminated a great number of positions that had dollars attached to those positions, which was the fundamental rationale for eliminating them, because we were looking to reduce. As I look forward and I look at our paraeducators, we are now in a position as a district where we don't have any open control codes for paraeducators. So if we were to find somebody that we wanted to hire, we don't have a position to hire them in because we've eliminated them.
Okay.
Here is what I'm proposing. If the board can create tonight any number, 5 would be great, TSSU paraeducator positions without any funding attached to them. This is not a money or a fiscal piece here. It's creating the position so we can create the control code. What that allows us to do over the course of the summertime is that when some of our contracted paraeducators want to come and work for us, which all of us have talked about is the direction we need to move, it would allow us to have a job that they can go into and apply for. We can hire them, and I would come back to this group to transfer money from contracted services, which is currently supporting that paraeducator, into the position that you would create tonight to fund it. And why would we do that?
Because we wanna have our own employees.
And it would cost less money in the end. But I can't do that because I have no position to hire these people into right now.
Okay.
So it sounds a little cockamamie. I will let you know, I did talk to legal counsel today. The idea is brilliant and absolutely legal.
If you can say so yourself.
So it
was
essentially what we're asking is for you to create the space holders that cost nothing to allow us the opportunity to hire folks here at a cheaper rate that eventually then become our own people.
How many do you want?
I think 5 would be, if we can do 5 over the summertime, I'd be ecstatic.
And what do their names need to be? What would the motion need to be?
It would need
5
to,
what?
to
I got it.
to create 5 paraeducator positions.
Is that it?
Right, yeah.
Hold up, we got questions. Alright, I'm gonna let Bree, then Don, then Jack.
So
Then
there's-
Marion, did you have one too? Alright, Marion.
So there's no money or funding attached to it,
There's no funding attached to it.
and that
Could
would,
I explain why?
sure,
Because you don't have the authority to attach money to it. Right? You have the authority to create positions.
but doesn't the union that is under that coding have the money attached to it? Like, no, great.
No.
And then so moving to calculating the next year's budget, are we funding these or not funding them?
I think it's
Let me walk you through that. If you create 5 positions tonight, the only way they get funded is if we find a person that we're gonna hire. And then we're gonna move the money that's in contracted services for that contracted paraeducator that's now coming on and signing on with us. We're gonna move it into that specific control code line item that you're creating tonight. What happens the next year?
Yeah.
Okay, let's say that the voters give us a default budget. Those positions you created do not move into the next year because they're not in the voted budget now that we've submitted already to the DRA. However, what is in the default budget is the total line item that you began the year with in contracted services. So there's not a fiscal penalty or concern not to do this.
And then if we vote it, if someone does fill it, does that role go away if it's defaulted? Does that position go away if it's defaulted?
The position wouldn't exist if it was defaulted. The funding for the position
Still
would exist.
Okay.
And you would just simply need to create the position.
we would have to add it back
Listen,
in.
I know.
Just checking.
Don?
Listen, reallocating that money to pay for the positions, put any students at risk of not getting services.
No.
Jack?
My only request is that, very nice, nicely done. My only request is that the motion include that those 5 positions can only be funded from contract labor. Right? Because that's where that money would come from, would be contract labor, if I understood you correctly.
Within the special education department, so within the
Right,
same
so all I'm
function.
saying is I want that included in the motion, so someone doesn't, who
Misconstrue.
knows what somebody will come up with, so.
Clarity is always good.
So where exactly what the special education contracted services is where it would come from?
Special education contracted services.
You have it, Shauna?
She's writing.
So I think you said there are no positions to hire into, but there's, on the vacancy report, there's 4 regular special ed, regular paraeducators and 6 sped paraeducators.
Yes.
So that sounds like 10 positions already there to hire into.
Two things to that, and I don't know if you wanna speak to it down the road. One is like that's never real time. And we're also engaging with people that we know are taking positions that we're looking for right now. I've talked with the folks about where we are on the hiring, about what's actually been signed and delivered and what we expect to be signed and delivered. There are no positions that we want to continue to bring some people back on. We have already contracted with some of these people. They're already coming back. This is an opportunity to sign them on as a Timberlane Regional School District employee.
And very briefly, we were required, those paraeducators are in a union, right? We could not just hire contracted people to fill those positions. We needed to post all of those openings, so that's why the vacancy list, as Mr. Krieger has mentioned, it's not real time. Does that make sense?
So these 5 positions though are still in addition to the 10 that are listed. that are listed in the vacant, because these, in order to be in the vacancy report, there has to already be a position.
They're in addition, because these are new positions.
That we're currently contracting out these services for. This allows, it's an empty parking space, we're trying to get a car there. Cars can't park unless you have the parking space, so we're creating the parking spaces so that if somebody wants to come in, it's a 2-to-1 saving, the same person providing the same services saves the district money.
Yeah, cause the contracted services, if we have to contract out, it's like 2 and 3 times what one position that we could hire here is. A lot of money. Shauna?
So I'll make a motion to create 5 paraeducator position control codes. Is that what you needed to say?
Just positions.
Just positions, to be funded through the special education contracted positions services. I don't think that's
In
in fiscal year 25.
26.
Oh, 26. 25, 26. I didn't say the whole year. Right?
You
Let's
need,
hear what we have, Linda.
To create 5 para-educator positions to be funded through the special education contracted services fiscal year 25-26.
It makes another suggestion.
Yes.
If a how would you say that? We're looking, if an employee is found, right? If a candidate is nominated, like the whole point is about getting somebody.
yeah.
It's just not about funding positions. It's
Mhm.
the human being.
If we were able to secure our own employee.
Period.
Period.
Can I amend that, Linda? To also include at the end of that, if we are able to hire our own employee.
There you go.
And just to reflect what I think that does for the board with Jack's suggestion is like it creates them, it defines where it's gonna come from and why it would come from there. And it's 3 pieces all together. I think that makes a lot of sense.
And this way here, people understand that there's a cost savings in that strategy.
Motion has been made by Shauna. Mark is gonna second it. Any other discussion? Alright, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstained, right, everyone like? Anything else?
That's all. Thank you. Absolutely sure.
Alright, personnel report, we have a
All right.
couple nominations, a couple resignations, and then we don't have any renominations, correct? I don't see
I
any.
don't see
I
any.
looked, I didn't see, okay.
All right,
Shauna, do
so
your thing.
I make a motion to accept the professional nominations of the following people and positions. Kelly Beatty, Library Media Specialist, Pollard Elementary. Brenna Brown, 0.5 preschool teacher at Atkinson Academy. Katie Coppola, special education teacher at Timberlane High School. Angela Miller, technology integration specialist, district position. Casey Sheehan, elementary teacher, Sandown North.
Motion to have a second? Second. Seconded by Alyssa. Any discussion?
Question.
Yep, go ahead.
Are we required to have a person, we have candidates that are certified.
Yeah.
To then hire somebody that's not certified instead, that is gonna be pursuing certification in an alternative fashion? You have to have the certification. You don't, if you have other candidates that are fully certified, can you hire somebody who is gonna be an alternative cert instead?
Yes. Yes. As long as they have a statement of eligibility or an emergency authorization from the state stating that they're eligible for certification. Yes.
There was a time when you couldn't. Specifically in Title I schools.
Alright,
Alright, all those in favor? Opposed and abstain. 1 abstention.
Make a motion to accept the professional resignations of Heather Bartlett, speech language pathologist at Sandown Central, and Danielle Larson Clark, English teacher at Timberlane High School.
Motion to have a second? Seconded by Mark. Any discussion? All those, did you have something?
Is that the only speech pathologist we have? I just know we struggled for years to
It's
get.
not the only one in the district.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Alright, all those in favor? Opposed and abstain. Everyone was for it. Alright. Let's see, we have no renominations. Okay, committee reports. I'll start with Mary Ann.
So I think we covered curriculum and assessment in pretty good depth. I did want to say I had the chance to attend the Excellence in Academics dinner for top high school students, and I think that's a tremendous event that Timberlane holds. Teachers speak about the students who selected them, and they do a phenomenal job, and really you get to know the personality of the student and you get to know a little bit about the teacher as well. And also the senior clap out at Danville was a lot of fun. It was nice to see retired teachers coming back, seniors embracing them, and seeing the difference between, there was a class of first graders and seniors in the gym at the same time, and it was very, very nice, especially for the first time. So those were the events I attended lately.
I don't have anything.
Nice. Listen.
No updates. CIP met Monday. Dr. Martin ran a wonderful meeting, thank you.
Thank you.
And we got some nice progress there, so I'm excited about what we will bring forth to you in the fall. And our next meeting is August. Don't quote me on the day. And I got to attend the Danville field day today, so that was fun, watching the kindergartners and pre-K running around. My husband was actually in the graduation band, he played, so
Aw.
yes, I could not attend to that because I had the littles, but great job, guys.
Shauna?
I'll let Jack talk about facilities if he wants to. I was able to attend the middle school graduation. A superb group of kids. I've been to a number of these. This class, for some reason, just seemed that little bit more special. And this relates to a lot of discussions we've been having this evening. What struck me most is there are a number of kids who were requiring and receiving special services from our staff. And there are a couple of them that were literally crying tears of joy, sadness, hugging those support staff who were there to support them, calling out their names. To see the emotional connection, it's just amazing to me the job these people do. Job is the wrong word because it's not a job, they wouldn't do it for the money, but the passion they have for the career path and how that is affecting our kids in our community. It was one of the most memorable, positive community events I've been to in years. It was an honor to be there.
So I got to attend the high school graduation. Weather held out for us. Mr. Vacariza put that bubble over us and it worked out really well. Our governor attended, Ms. Ayotte. She was there and she spoke and it was really good. And she actually stayed for the whole entire graduation, so that was really nice. This is the second year that we've had a student who's been the leader of the MC, and it's always great. They started doing it last year and it was just awesome because it's about the kids and it's just awesome to see the kids that they are the ones that do that. And then once she came and got her diploma, and the same thing with the one last year, they get right behind us and they're starting to congratulate all their fellow students. So it's just really cool to see. But other than that, I have nothing else. Don?
Well said.
All right, Jack?
So I wasn't prepared to
I'm
talk
sorry,
about facilities tonight, so I'll kick that back to you, Mark. Or I can look at the agenda and it'll all come flying back to me. I do wanna we did have the CIP meeting. We got that done. It was a very good meeting, I thought. We got it down to about 5 or 6 items. We are now archiving those things that we don't think that we believe are gonna be beyond that 5-year window.
Okay.
So that's good. So that list is getting cleaned up. We're also, we did a kind of a neat exercise where we're going to offer the board like a prioritized list this time, which I don't think we've ever done before. So I'll be like, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and the team kind of went around the room and put Post-its on what they thought. So I think we may be a little bit high right now. Right?
Meaning?
With the dollar amount.
Yes, we went from 7.4 to 3.5 million.
Yeah, so we did a really good job. At least I think, and if you guys wanna give us an extra $1.5 million, bombs away. But I'll go back to, I'll let Mark talk about facilities, cause my mind really kind of went blank on that, to be honest.
Talked about wrapping up year-end stuff, the fields, how we're going to maintain them, make certain weather permitting, that we are in a better state of affairs than we were last year, looking at product to make certain that the infield is more controlled. That was Jack's suggestion, actually. I was trying to give you the limelight, sir. And just end of year maintenance, now that the kids are gonna be out of the building, list of projects that need to be tackled.
Very good. Any other business at this time? I believe Mr. Downing is gonna come up and speak again.
I'm allowed.
It's your show, man.
I'm showing. Just wondering. Questions? Procedurally, I like your idea, Justin. There's no problem with that, but procedurally, you might wanna check, just make sure with, if you can actually add a position to an already voted budget. Not sure the answer to that, but it might be a problem. It's a good idea, what you have, and it saves money. Just procedurally, you might wanna check it. I haven't heard anyone state the unassigned fund balance as of yet, all night tonight. This time last year, we've been told probably 4 to 5 meetings in a row what the expected unassigned fund balance would be. And I haven't heard it once, and we've made votes to use the unassigned funds, but we don't know what that number is. But if we're making that vote on the unexpended funds, we must have some sort of number what it is. So if I missed it somewhere, please excuse that, but just not sure what it is. And we knew quite early last year. As far as learning lessons, we sat here last year, we've already gone through this before, being mocked by school board members, the taxpayers, for what we believed was right. And we stood up for what we thought was right. And now to be mocked in a school board meeting tonight was not very pleasant to hear. Do we want to wake the bear again? It's not a lesson learned. We have a voice and it'll be used, just, we're not all stupid. Paying off the lease last year was a good idea at one point when it was surplus. When it became not surplus and known to be not surplus, then it was a bad idea to pay it off. We have plenty of past experiences that were written to explain how much in favor we were of that. But then when it became, you can't use it for anything else, it was all of a sudden a bad idea again. So to say that we weren't in favor of it, that's not entirely true. It went back and forth and many people had their opinions on that. Question is by paying off the lease early, which we now have a vote for, will we still be raising and appropriating $2,061,000 every single year? Or will that amount lower? In addition, according to EEI's contract, the lease payment is supposed to be lowered by the cost of the energy savings. And in their contract, they're supposed to be supplying a report with the energy saving cost. Has that been asked for yet? Has that been received? What is that number that our payment for the lease was supposed to be offset by? It's just clearly in the master contract for the lease agreement. The savings account, the account that the lease is held in, we were told by Maria Watkins in a meeting that it was not an interest-bearing account. Since we've done a right to know, we understand there are 2 Webster Bank accounts. One holds the money for the lease and then it's transferred into another account, checking account, to make the payment. The money where it's held in that account is interest-bearing, and the statements prove the interest that's actually paid, which we all know there is interest in there. So the statement wasn't true. There just continues to be a little bit of this. It should be cleaned up. I'm actually shocked. I was hoping Maria would be here tonight to explain some unassigned funds. Pretty much it. So I hope we can learn lessons and not mock the taxpayers. Didn't turn out so well.
Thank you for your time. All right, we do have a,
We'll be down for donations and individuals, thank you. Sorry, Katie.
no, it's okay.
Speaking for yourself.
Yeah, I'm speaking. course I'm speaking for myself, that's why I'm here and I'm not there, Mark, thank you.
Alright,
You guys do an incredible job. My family is disgusted about how much energy and time and how much I talk about school board in my home. I'm sure you guys all kind of do the same thing. I would just say to the prior speaker, and I'm speaking for myself, if the shoe fits, wear it. You guys do not and should not be subjected to ridicule, being called dishonest, being called thieves, and that's happened on a continuous basis. I think one of the board members was spot on tonight. I gotta tell you, it was an issue of trust brought up as it speaks to you board members. I've had the pleasure, this is probably one of the best boards I've ever sat on. Very diverse, you're very conscientious, and God knows you're hardworking. I think a simple thank you would be in line. So when it comes to marking, you guys have been marked plenty. And so, you know, maybe the lesson to be learned here is go home and look in the mirror. Thank you.
right. Any other delegates and individuals? Okay, we will be going in a non-public.
Make a motion to go into non-public under 91-A:3, subparagraph C.
Alright, do I have a second? Second by Mark. Can I please get a roll call vote?
Jack Sapia.
Yes.
Doug Woodward.
Yes.
Amy Newton.
Yes.
Mark Sherwood.
Yes.
Ellen Yap.
Yes.
Lee Woodward.
Yes.
Howard Bain, and
Yes.
Mary Ann Curtis. Yes.
Alright, thank you, everybody. We'll only be back to seal the minutes. Have a good evening.